It's no secret I love to repurpose old clothes and give them a new life. And I always say, if it doesn't spark joy, don't throw it out. Turn it into something that's new to you. Sustainable fashion is always on trend. So for this project, we're going to create our own textile from once loved garments to make a stylish tote bag. So if you're ready, let's make it.
DIY by Jane.
You'll need a sewing machine, recycled denim jeans in various colors and textures, a half a yard of lining fabric in any color you want, a separating zipper, now that's optional, a rotary cutter and straight edge, fabric scissors, a measuring tape, straight pins, and marking chalk. Let's start by deconstructing your denim. So grab your scissors and get cutting. Cut off the legs of the denim jeans, cut up the side seams. Get rid of all the decorative stitches to create flat pieces of material. Then, cut them into long pieces, squares, and rectangles until you have a variety of different colors and sizes. Here's a top tip. You can also use old fabric scraps from previous projects and even upholstery fabric or even sweaters. Next, lay a few pieces on top of each other, overlapping the edges, and pin them together. Now, I'm intentionally leaving the unfinished edges of the material exposed to create a distressed and trendy look. Alternatively, you can also fold the edges under and sew them into place for a clean finish and a more traditional look. Once you have several scrap pieces pinned together, head over to the sewing machine and top stitch them. I'm using a different color thread as an accent to the bag. Continue to piece the scraps together and onto the main section. Pin together and sew. Do this until you have a large piece of textile. Mine is about 20 inches by 20 inches. Now remember, we'll trim the sides down before we sew the tote together. You'll need to create 2 large pieces of your newly created textile to complete the tote bag. For the lining fabric, I'm using a poly satin fabric in red to give it a luxurious feel and that special pop of color inside the tote bag. Measure and cut your lining fabric to the size you want your tote. Here, we'll cut the same size as the created textile, so you'll cut 2 20-inch by 20-inch pieces. With the right sides of the lining fabric together, sew 3 sides, leaving one open. On your newly created textile, use your straight edge and rotary cutter to even the sides to match the lining of the fabric. Now you can vary the size of the tote if you want it deeper or wider. Now let's make the handle. Cut 2 5-inch by 24-inch pieces of denim for the handle. You can adjust the length to make it longer or shorter as well. Fold the 5-inch by 24-inch piece of fabric with the right sides together and sew the long edge. Turn it right side out and press with the seam down the center. Now, fold the fabric tube in half and mark the center point. Then, measure 3 inches from both sides of the center and mark it with a pin. Sew the folded fabric tube in the center from pin to pin. Adding a zipper closure is optional. So, to create a closing flap, cut 2 pieces of denim for each side and sew half of the zipper into one side, sandwiched in between the denim pieces with the right sides facing together. Or you can add a full-length zipper to each side of the created textile. To attach the handles, lay the handles on one piece of the created textile with the right sides facing each other. Sew the handles in place, and if you're adding a closing flap, place that piece over the handles and sew. Next, with the right sides together on your created textile, pin and sew 3 sides. Now, we'll make the base of the bag. On the lining fabric, measure a 3-inch by 3-inch square on the lower corners, 3-inch from the bottom and 3-inch from the side. Then cut out each corner. Open up the 3-inch by 3-inch corner and line up one side with the other side, with the right sides facing each other. Secure it with a pin and then sew the opening shut. You'll need to do this on your created textile as well, so do this to all 4 corners. the two corners of the created textile and the two corners on the lining fabric. This will create a nice base for the bottom of the bag. Now at this point, you should have two separate bags. You'll assemble the bag with the right sides facing each other. So turn the lining fabric inside out and put the created textile inside the lining fabric. The right sides should be facing each other. Pin the top all the way around, leaving a 3-inch opening. Now, sew around the top of the bag. At the 3-inch opening, start turning the bag right side out by slowly pulling it through the opening. Once that's complete, push the lining fabric into the bag and, with the raw edge of the opening turned in, pin it in place and top stitch all the way around the top of the bag. Give it a press to finish. And there you have it, a repurposed denim tote bag. Now, no one would ever believe your patchwork bag is made from old clothes, but it is, and it's trendy, it's cute, and it's sustainable fashion.